Most players waste their best fighting seasons and they don't even realize it until it's too late. If you think massive battles are happening every season, you basically need Little Awakening here. Let's talk about why you need to go all in when the opportunity strike. In this video, I'm going to cover how to spot a rare high intensity season, why holding back can cost you more than the fight, balancing resources against opportunity, and at the end, the regret of quiet season after missing your chance. And this is something that I want to point out. It's not only about RKVK, what was happening here or whatever, but here is the thing. When a gate open, you have to go in. All in. I see a mistake that I did back in the days. What I mean by that is, back in the days, I was like, okay, I'm going to just go and spend X amount of elixirs, or I'm going to finish my elixirs. And by back in the days, I mean before over 1 year. I was going to spend only my elixirs. I'm not going to touch the elixirs that I have in my bank. That was for the final zone and etc. Stuff like this. And I fight and I stop at one point. Now, why this thing is actually a problem? It's a problem because later in the final zone, we was not having any kind of fights. The only fights that happened, and that was a big one, was the fight where I was trying to save my elixirs eventually for the final zone. And this is something that I want to say in this video is, if you see the opportunity that you can actually make a lot to fight, or at least have decent amount of fight, this is going to be because later you may win, you may lose, that's all. But after this, there may not be any kind of PvP till the end of the season. You may end up in the next season with basically, maybe your alliance is too weak, maybe the other alliance is too weak, and things finish extremely fast. And you're missing that big fight that you was here in this KVK, but in the same time, you didn't actually put effort because you was thinking that this type of fights is going to repeat every season somewhere. Now, every season, the majority of the season, at least there is like half day fight. But sometimes it's half day, sometimes it's way more. But yeah, if the people don't put effort when the time comes and there is a fight for their alliance, they may not see a fight anymore. And based on this, that's my understanding before like over 1 year. This season I actually put a lot of effort. I'm already like 200 million mana in. I'm close to 10.8 million merits. This is basically just from zone 3 because I was on holiday for zone 2. Maybe I was able to make like 5 million extra merits in the zone 2. So maybe 16, 17 is going to be at the end of the day. But you know, I was on holiday, so real life is always with one idea, bigger priority from the games for me. But yeah, I definitely know that when the time comes, if I don't put everything, I may not face a good season. And honestly, last season we was with Echo, and it was a boring season. I'm not gonna it was a boring season. We was making some calculation etc against Ace. Things didn't work well from point of getting a lot of fights. And this season, boy, I jump with everything I can. But yeah, just you know, for my viewers who is watching my channel, if you guys get opportunity for some good fights, even if it has to cost you off your elixirs, or you have to spend some extra resources like some mana and etc., grab the opportunity. Just grab the opportunity and do the fight. And if you're well, or somebody with a lot of power, definitely, you know, at least get your free healing, because you know, at one point there is a people with 1.3 million free healing, elixirs per day, a lot of 2 million elixirs per day. So yeah, Just wanted to share a little regret back in the days that I was having, and it's a topic that I just wanted to cover in this video, that the fights in KVK is not something that you're going to have every day. And first thing, of course, you have to recognize is going to be the fighting season early. Sometimes there is surprises, not gonna lie, sometimes there is surprises. You go against alliance, this alliance end up to be extremely strong, or you're just not in position to actually do much, for example some crazy sieges and etc. And boy oh boy, I put so much effort in the choke points. The majority of my merits actually come from defending, and it's like 3 to 1 the ratio from what a 71 that is going in your hospital and what from the enemy a 71 that is going in their hospital. So if there is a defense big fight, oh my god, this is the best time to fill your pockets with merits. First of all, you're going to help your alliance, you're going to weak the enemy, and after this defense you can even do some push. But yeah, first of all, you have to know, is this going to be a fighting season? Normally this thing become clear after gate 2 open. Sometimes it's gate 1. For example, we have gate 2 here is ruins, but yeah, gate 1 is the Thunder Rock. Yeah, in the Thunder Rock zone you can definitely see how the things will go in the future. Obviously there can be some missing players like me in the zone 2, but there can be some missing players in the zone 3 also. So it's not like 100%, but you can get some good feeling about the situation. And the missing fight cannot be recovered later. Have you ever had a farming season right after a big war season? Well, for me, actually happened a couple of times. We was having crazy fighting season, and the next season it was a farming season. Now with new changes in the system of Call of Dragons and how they make the matches between the alliances, I think I'm not going to face boring season again, because there's going to be some Imperial Kingdoms that's going to be faced. For example, this alliance is A kingdom with B kingdom with D kingdom and etc. So the game slowly start getting the things in their hands from point of the matchmaking, because there is some people saying this is deep win or etc. So I think actually the game did great job in our KVK. We against Echo, we're in the same power and etc. I think that KVK was having a great potential to be some crazy KVK. And this is thanks to the game actually put us. This is A, this is B, this is C. I don't remember what kind of symbols was against every kingdom, but yeah, they basically built the matchup here. Now let's talk about the resources. Balancing resource spent and opportunity cost. So I'm going to explain to you how I spent and where I actually spent. Now the first big spending was actually not actually big spending, but I didn't spend anything when the gate 4 open. The majority, the main reason behind is just because I was fighting under Alliance territory and I was having some good trades there, 2-1, even though the Echo cavalry and infantry is scary, but still it was a positive trade every time, even with my account that historically is having like 97 million power. By the way, soon when we push for greatest heights, things is going to change. But yeah, that was not a great place to actually go and spend your resources. And at what point actually I could stop fighting and I go to sleep and I wake up on way different situations. But the place that I spent the most was against MFD. MFD was the place where we was have to penetrate. I totally understand what was the stakes there. If we don't penetrate, Echo was already in our zone 3. So if I didn't spend here, even that I spent, we didn't actually penetrate this gate. But that was the biggest opportunity where just the things shift and people have to spend here. I think from MFD, I see couple reports how much who spent, but in form of resources. I mean, mana, mainly mana. On MFD side also there was a lot of investments, let's say it like this, in the defense, because they also know what is going to happen here. But yeah, at the end of the day, we did not manage. And the second big spending I was having was over the Spire. This is over here. There was a big fight, I think, over here, one of the places. After this, at this choke, the second choke, there was a big fight. And finally, big defense here. That was the two places where I actually spent, because brother, the merits was very, very nice. And here is the thing that actually moved the players in Call of Dragons is actually merits. This is something like validation how good you are, and this is absolutely normal. I mean, not farm at merits with your farm, but if you want to see who is the top players, just look the merits chart and you're going to see who on which position are. I mean, this is the only, how to say it, the only way to track actually the activity of a player, and how efficient he is on the battlefield. So yeah, this is the places where I actually spend, because I was knowing this is the important places, and spending should be on the important places, not like going on the enemy territory with your cavalry, you know, hitting here and there and you do resource healing. No, this is not actually the places. The resources should be at places where they actually matter. And one thing that definitely should be avoided, and this is I will fight later trap. And how many seasons have you saved it up for but never use it? And I have this type of seasons, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was having like a season when I was saving off my elixirs for the final zone, but this final zone was just farming there because we already win. Now in this situation we win, but it can be other way around. So yeah, just saving those things is not going to help, especially the elixirs. Right now I'm not so sure I have any kind of elixirs. Yeah, I have some elixirs left, because we didn't do any kind of fight for was maybe 1 day, 2 days. But yeah, just saving for the was zone is not going to, because if you lose very important position in a zone, or you just get taken out from a zone, all these things is not going to matter. Maybe in big push to come back, big comeback, maybe it's going to matter, but rarely if you say save something for the final zone, exception if there is no other fight. But if there is no other fight, you're not going to save nothing. And here is the thing, if everybody actually push with full power, everybody is going to push the enemy way more faster, and way more elixirs is going to get saved like this. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that in my video, that grab every opportunity that you have to do some crazy fights. Enjoy the fights, because the next KVK can be farming KVK, it can be some not that crazy KVK, and you're going to miss this moment where you basically face against strong enemy and etc. And also the pet skills. Look at this pet skill. This thing costs like 5,000 pet coins. 5,000 pet coins. Angry Roar, and I buy it because I fight, you know. And there is many other also examples. Just this thing, if you're free to play, this thing should be cleared somehow. I have a lot of videos about how to set up your legion, how to position on the battlefield, and etc. So you can go and check it out. So yeah, just want to talk about this, how important it is to fight in good season, because the next one can be very, very bad. So yeah, I guess this will for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit one like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.